after Bush went into Iraq, Gaddafi said, I changed my mind, I want to ally with the West, and here's the keys to the nuclear sites. I'm totally dismantling it. So then we go in and we take over the regime and kill them. Now we're talking about Iran now, and we're saying to Iran, oh, dismantle your nuclear weapons. What kind of a lesson does that give to Iran? If I was Iran, I probably would say, up yours, as far as getting me to do it. But what I see is, in the confirmation hearings of Secretary of Defense Hagel, he made what the news media said was a slip-up. He said the policy is containment, and then he was brought a note by one of the aides saying, well, no, it's not the right, it's not containment. We're going to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons like we promised. Well, now it becomes obvious that he was really telling the truth. He just wasn't supposed to at that time, because that apparently is the policy. Instead of, under these current negotiations, instead of saying, you have to dismantle, which was always our request, you have to dismantle your program, they're saying you can continue to enrich. And we're going to give you another 6 months, and then we're going to give you another 6 months. So the end result is that our friends, like Egypt, Jordan, Israel, tend to become our adversaries, and we beat up on them. And groups like Islamic extremist groups and groups like the Muslim Brotherhood, the Ikhwan, we embrace with both arms. And the Ikhwan doesn't believe in contemporary nation states. They believe artificial boundaries prevent the golden ideal of the Islamic Caliphate.
And I'm just curious, why are the subject matter experts that the FBI had go through all their training material and purge anything that might be offensive to an Islamist, why was that needed to be classified? I would think they'd be heroes in the Islamic world for getting that stuff out. Why was that classified?
Well, we went through a thorough review. I think you've been fully briefed on it. In those materials are examples of cases.
I need you to, I have such a short time, I need you to answer questions. And my question is, why were the subject matter experts' identity classified?
Because the process in whole had within its parameters all information that we have in the Bureau. And if I'm not mistaken, we gave you the names of the individuals.
In a classified setting, and so I'd get prosecuted if I revealed them. And I don't know why you can't make those public so that people would know. But obviously, you feel...
I will look at that.
Well, and also I want to go back to Boston. You said things like, and I jotted these down, what you said, the FBI did an excellent job, did a thorough job, don't know what else we could have done. And according to the Russians, there's a great deal more that could have been done. And when we find out about this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, and as this article points out, if it's true, it says that we don't know who the chairman and members are of this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, who the staff, that's kept secret. The FBI never canvassed Boston mosques until 4 days after the April 15th attacks. If the Russians tell you that someone has been radicalized and you go check and see the mosques that they went to, then you get the articles of incorporation, as I have, for the group that created the Boston mosque where these Tsarnevs attended, and you find out the name Alamudi, which you'll remember because while you were FBI director, this man who was so helpful to the Clinton administration with so many big things, he gets arrested at Dulles Airport by the FBI, and he's now doing over 20 years for supporting terrorism. This is the guy that started the mosque where your Tsarnevs were attending, and you didn't even bother to go check about the mosque. And then when you have the pictures, why did no one go to the mosque and say, who are these guys? They may attend here. Why was that not done since such a thorough job was done?
Your facts are not altogether well.
All right, point out specifically.
May I finish my
Point out specifically. Sir, if you're going to call me a liar, you need to point out specifically where any facts are wrong.
We went to the mosque. Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston happening, we were in that mosque talking to imams several months beforehand as part of our outreach efforts.
Were you aware that those mosques were started by Al-Amudi?
I've answered the question, sir.
You didn't answer the question. Were you aware they were started by Al-Amudi? You were not. Okay.
In the last 10, 12 years, we ignore these questions at our cost. Now, the present international system was begun by the Peace of Westphalia, which is so ingrained in our worldview that we tend not to think about it very much. Although references to the treaties of Westphalia and the nation-state system are usually de rigueur for diplomats, academics, and upscale op-ed writers. But the system, which began in the 17th century, was so accepted that it became the basic anti-colonial argument of the 20th century.
Murphy, and I've done some work for Ambassador Alexander recently on a book on NATO, doing some editing. Excuse me. Now, of course, I forgot what I was going to say. It seems to me that one of the main things is that the president has to have an idea of what he really wants to accomplish by this. Excuse me.
Loosen your tie.
Call him in and say he needs an ambulance.
Loosen his tie.
Call an ambulance. He needs an ambulance. Thank you.
Anxiety attack probably because the first time I spoke in public. And let me go on. The point that I was...
You're among friends. Don't be anxious.
Yeah, I know. That's what I tried to tell myself this morning. I'm sorry about that. But one of the points I think really should be stressed is that the president should at some point in the near future tell the American public what it is he wants to do regarding ISIS, not least so that he is clear in his own mind what it is he's trying to accomplish. We should set a goal or a mission, and we should set a strategy after the mission, not after we set the mission, not before. I can remember, I'm old enough to remember Johnson, just about 50 years ago, when it was clear we were going to stay in Vietnam. I kept on thinking he should go on TV and tell the American public what it is he wants to accomplish in Vietnam, not least so that he will know himself what he's trying to accomplish. And he never did it, and I'm not sure to this day what our real goals were in Vietnam, whether to liberate the people of the South free, maybe to liberate the North, or whatever. The same applies with regard to ISIS, especially when the president himself says this is a long-term project. And some of you pointed out the enemy is my enemy is my friend. I wrote a little piece a couple of days ago in which I pointed out there are two triangles going on in Syria. One is between us, Assad, and the enemies of Assad, and the other one is between the enemies of Assad themselves and us. If we drop a bomb on a group of people who are opposed to Assad, are we hitting the Free Syrian Army? Are we hitting ISIS, or are we hitting some guys who just switched from, because it's happening, from Free Syrian Army to ISIS? You know, there are so many, a couple of you point out, so many complexities, and so many, the friend of my friend is becoming my enemy, the enemy of my friend is becoming my own friend. You know, these are a few things that